Welcome back to the channel, Zomboid here, and we are covering a topic that a lot of you are probably asking yourself right now. Is Project Zomboid worth spending your money on in 2022? The short answer to that is absolutely 100%. The long answer, well, that has got about 1,000 hours worth of experience to go through, but we're going to cut it down to about 10-15 minutes. So recently they passed a milestone of 10 years, I believe, since this game first went into development, and that is a long time for a game, which you'd think would be a bad thing, hearing that it's been in early access for 10 years, but the amount of development that has gone into this game is unreal. So it definitely deserves every penny that people have put into it, especially mine. But yeah, let's get onto the pros list. So to start with, I do just want to say that this is the most in-depth zombie survival game that I've ever played. So it's an incredible game. There's so much to do. I've sunk countless amount of hours into it, and I think I put it down once, which was just before build 41. But since then, I haven't given it up since. I haven't batted an eyelid. So it's an incredible in-depth game. Point 2 is very broad character development. So there's so many different layers to it. You got all of their skill trees, so you can create whichever one you want. You could be an axeman, you could be a long blunt, short blade, long blade, anything you want. Or you could just be a nice simple builder that just wants to explore the world, get some crafting supplies and build yourself a nice little shack in the middle of nowhere. Or take over an entire town and wipe out thousands upon thousands of Zeds. So I've done both of them, and they're both a stupid amount of fun. So you can't go wrong whichever way you decide to play this game. So the developers do also react to their feedback as well. So constantly things are getting reworked. So you could be a builder in the middle of the woods, and they've just given us a nice foraging update, which is a little bit confusing, but I'm sort of getting to the ropes of it, and it's quite fun. So it's very immersive, definitely. So speaking of regular updates, over the past 10 years, it took them quite a few years to get to the point that it is now. So build 41 with the animation update took a long time to get to, but since then this game has grown at about 1,000% speed. It's incredible. So they've done more work in the past year, 2 years than they have in a long time, and it's taken the game to having around about 5,000 active players to 40 to 50,000 in the past few weeks to a month. So it has grown massively, and it's getting a whole lot more interest, which means updates are pumping out a lot faster. One of those updates being multiplayer recently coming out. So with multiplayer, it has opened the game up for so many different people. So there's so many different layers to this game now. You can play a run with multiple different characters. So I spoke to a friend, he was the cook for his group, and everyone else would go out on runs. You'd have your carpenter, he was your builder, more or less. So he'd sculpt up the whole place, get that to scratch. You'd have your hunters and gatherers, well, not really hunters, trappers, who would collect your berries, your meat, your building supplies, things like that, bring them back for the group. And then you'd have your clearance guys who would keep control of the area, clear out all the Zeds, make sure nothing gets overrun, and just keep on top of it. So there's so many different ways that you can play this game. Have a multiplayer, lets you pull them all together and have them all in one hit, which is just an amazing quality. So I could go on for hours and hours, but I think that pretty much sums up the main pros for the game. So the rest of it is just, it's a sandbox game. So you can create as many stories as you like. You can be just a slayer. You could be the man who's going to bring someone's family together and bury them in your garden by finding a map. Go into the house that's marked on that map and just collecting up the family, putting them into one pot together and giving them the send-off that they deserve. That your recently slayed Zed had the annotated map to hopefully do that one day. You can do it for him if you like. So, or you can just go there, loot the place and disappear, never to be seen again. Burn the house down if you like. So there's so many options, you could go forever. But With that being said, there are still quite a few cons to this game. None that are too major, but they do have their downsides. One, the game's been in early access for 10 years, so although it's a pro, because there's been a lot of updates and it's a very developed game, it does come with its downsides of where it's still getting updated. There can still be quite a few bugs in the game that get brought in through updates. One of them being it affects the mods that are currently in the game. So the mod team, all round, every single mod that I've played are updated as quickly as possible. So that's another bonus. The modding community is huge for this game. So there are so many different features that you can add in. Anything you're missing, someone's probably thought of it and thrown it in the game, so it's a bonus. But with new updates, things do get set back, so sometimes your save can be broken, which sucks, but it usually gets fixed quite quickly. Occasionally there are big updates that don't allow you to play on your new save anymore, which does suck, but they do always keep a backlog of the previous builds, so you can go back and carry on your world. So they've kind of thought about it. It kind of goes hand in hand. So it is an annoying feature that does have a little setback, but there are ways around it, which kind of weighs itself out. The permadeath also can be a bit of a pro and a con if you're just starting off. So some people aren't a fan of it. I understand why, but it is a very solid survival game. So the game is built to kind of... The game is about how you died, more or less. So it tells you right at the start, this is how you died. That's your character's story. That's it. As soon as his ticket's punched, he's gone. Which a lot of people might not be too interested in. So there are ways that you can continue on the same world just by clicking continue, loading the same world, and you're good to go. But you do lose all of your skills, which does suck. So after spending, well, furthest I've got is about a year, and starting from scratch after that can be a bit taxing, but you learn so much throughout your time, which is great. So the skills that you take with you after a character's died are worth way more than the skills that you develop whilst playing the game, if that makes sense, per character. So you learn a lot from each death. So there's pros and cons to it, but overall I'd say that it is definitely worth the £15 or $20 that you'll spend on this game. So I've sunk in about 800 hours just on Steam, plus however many offline hours, which is just through the roof. And yeah, I would never turn back on this game. So if you're thinking about buying it, do it. If you're thinking about convincing a mate to play multiplayer with you, do it. He'll probably love it. Definitely worth it. But I think that more or less sums up my pros and cons to buying this game. So I will drop a little list in the description as well if you just want to sneak peek through. But that's me. That's everything for you. That's everything I got. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe if you enjoyed. Hopefully you pick up the game, test it out for yourself, and come back here to view the rest of my videos. But yeah, peace.